Hello and thanks for joining us for our late night newscast coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. I'm Mark Broom. Our top story tonight, North Korea has released its official stance on Washington's latest sanctions on the regime that were signed into law this week by US President Barack Obama. In a statement Saturday, North Korea's foreign ministry said the punitive measures were absurd and they wouldn't be enough to prevent it forging on with both its nuclear and economic development. The sanctions, which came into effect on Thursday, block foreign individuals or entities providing the North with any funds or support for its nuclear and missile development. Now, the North state-run Korean Central News Agency also claimed its nuclear and space development programs began long before the Inter-Korean Industrial Complex was set up in its border city of Kaesong, but did not cite exactly when they began. The complex was launched in 2004. The response is a rebuttal of comments made by some South Korean government officials. They said a proportion of the payments received from the South had been funneled into those programs. North Korea conducted an artillery drill on its side of the West Sea border early Saturday. None of the rounds landed on the southern side, but South Korean residents on a border island were put on standby to evacuate to shelters. In the meantime, the South Korean Navy has completed collecting debris from the long-range missile North Korea fired earlier this month. Song Ji-son with the details.
At around 7:20 a.m. South Korea time on Saturday morning, North Korea fired multiple rounds into the West Sea from its Changsan Cape located across from the South Baekneungdo Island. Seoul's defense ministry says it was likely a regular drill and no unusual activities were detected from the north side. But as a precautionary measure, South Korea's military has called back fishing boats and told the island's residents to be on standby for evacuation. The South military also announced that it has recovered more pieces from the North long-range missile launch on February 7th. The Navy says its Tongyang rescue vessel on Thursday picked up 2 pieces of what seemed to be fuel injection parts from the rocket's first stage. The Navy says the search for debris is now complete. It says searching for hundreds of smaller pieces scattered across the sea would be pointless. With concerns rising that North Korea could be plotting a cyber attack soon, South Korea's ICT ministry is reportedly inspecting the nation's telecom companies and government agencies, as well as online banking systems. Officials are checking to see if they would be prepared for a large-scale attack. Following North's 4th nuclear test on January 6 and its long-range missile launch just a month later, the South Korean government has raised its alert level on cyber attacks, although no attempts have been detected so far. Song Ji-son, Arirang News.
Now, the United States has pledged to ensure more information about the outside world finds its way into North Korea. U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Democracy, Human Rights and Labor, Tom Malinowski, says Washington is committed to finding faster and safer ways to transmit outside information to the North Korean people. He stressed that information will give them more options, more ideas and greater independence of thought. The US hopes the freer flow of information will show the North Korean people there are alternative ways of life to the suffering and hunger they have to endure under the Kim Jong-un regime. Britain has announced that a referendum on whether the country should stay in or leave the European Union will be held on June 23rd. The date was set around 12 hours after European Union leaders unanimously agreed on a package of measures aimed at keeping Britain in the 28-nation bloc. British Prime Minister David Cameron says he is recommending Britain vote for staying within the EU in his promised referendum. German Chancellor Angela Merkel has described the agreement as a fair compromise that will allow Cameron to campaign for Britain to stay in the EU. And President of the European Council, Donald Tusk, said the deal with Britain is irreversible and reiterated his position that Britain needs Europe and Europe needs Britain. Speaking after a cabinet meeting on Saturday, Cameron said Britain will be stronger in a reformed Europe. Now, well over half of Korean exporters expect outbound shipments to China to steadily improve over the course of the year. According to a poll of over 100 exporters by the Korea International Trade Association, 63% said the conditions will improve this year once the global economy picks up some recovery momentum. Auto exports are anticipated to improve at the fastest click, followed by chemical and steel products. Now, companies also thought that the Korea-China FTA will play a favourable role, especially in the textile and agricultural sectors. The remaining 37% that exports to China will only start to improve starting next year or even later, citing the slowdown in China and low oil prices as their reasons for their gloomier outlook. Samsung Electronics is going to roll out its mobile payment system Samsung Pay in some major international markets, including China, next month. The company says the service will launch in the world's second biggest economy, as well as Singapore, the UK, Canada, Australia, Brazil and Spain, and will do so in the coming weeks. Samsung Pay, first released in Korea and the US last year, currently has about 5 million users. The mobile payment system supports magnetic secure transmission technology that works on traditional credit card machines. It also allows users to purchase items online through fingerprint screening. Samsung has also announced that the service is now being installed in its budget smartphone models such as the Galaxy A5 and the Galaxy A7. The number of cruise ship passengers to Korea's southern resort island of Jeju is on the rise due to its popularity as a tourist attraction and also a convenient destination between China and Japan. This year, over 1 million tourists are expected to visit Jeju aboard cruise ships. Our Park Se-young has the details.
This 70,000-ton cruise ship docked on Jeju Island for a fifth time this year. After a successful series of cruise expeditions last year, the ship is expected to carry about 10,000 passengers to Jeju 40 more times along its way to China and Japan. Until the end of this year, 25 cruise ships will dock in Jeju 500 times. With increased trips, the number of cruise ship passengers is also on the rise. In 2013, 386,000 passengers traveled by ship to Jeju, with the number jumping to 590,000 in 2014 and 625,000 last year. This year, the number of passengers is expected to surpass the 1 million mark. The over threefold jump in the number of passengers is attributed to Jeju Island's convenient location between China and Japan and its rising popularity after being designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Area. With more ports expected to be added, it looks like smooth sailing for the island's cruise tourism market. Park Se-young, Arirang News.
Another Korean victim of Japan's wartime sexual slavery has died. It leaves the number of registered surviving victims in Korea at just 44. A local civic group that supports the victims says 90-year-old Kim Kyung-soon passed away on Saturday afternoon. More than 200,000 victims, mostly Korean, are thought to have been forced to work in frontline brothels for Japanese soldiers during World War II. To resolve the issue, Seoul and Tokyo struck a deal in December last year. The Japanese government expressed an apology and announced a plan to compensate the victims with some $8 million. But most of the surviving victims remain opposed to the deal. They say their demands were not heard before the negotiations, a claim the South Korean government refutes. Now, on a happier note, Korean skeleton slider Yoon Sung-bin has won a historic silver medal at the World Championships in Austria. The 21-year-old, who is one of Korea's brightest hopes for the upcoming 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, came second with a time of 3 minutes 29.97 seconds after 4 runs at the International Bobsleigh and Skeleton Federation World Championships. The gold medal went to Latvian Martins Dukas, who won his second straight world title. Yoon becomes the first Asian ever to win a medal at the Skeleton World Championships, first held in 1982. Congratulations to him. Now, most people don't need any encouragement to eat chocolate. But did you know about its full range of health benefits? A new study suggests that eating small pieces, like a small bar of chocolate every day, can significantly improve the health of pregnant mothers and their babies. Kim Mo-gyun has the details.
There are many benefits that may come with moderate chocolate consumption. One of the main nutrients known to be beneficial to the human body is flavonol. Flavonol is a type of a flavonoid which has been linked to reducing the risk of cardiovascular problems and lowering cholesterol levels. A professor from Gachon University said flavanols are more prevalent in dark chocolates.
I recommend the intake of dark chocolate rather than milk chocolate. Flavanol gets rid of active oxygen radicals, which is helpful in maintaining cardiovascular health.
A recent study held by researchers in Canada's Laval University also reaffirmed the benefits chocolate can give to pregnant mothers and their children. Their study suggests that pregnant mothers who ate 30 grams of chocolate every day for 12 weeks showed a noticeable improvement in their placental blood circulation. But even though experts acknowledge the health benefits of chocolate, they stress the importance of moderate consumption. Since chocolate also contains high levels of sugar and caffeine, excessive intake would lead to side effects such as weight gain, sleep troubles, and even diabetes. Kim Mo-gyan, Arirang News.
And finally, we're going to leave you with a brief update on the weekend weather here in Korea. And it's a cold night, and it's going to get even colder across most of the country. The mercury will drop down to -7 degrees Celsius in Seoul, so grab a thick jacket if you're heading out. Sunday is going to feel colder than today as well. The high is going to top out at just 3 degrees Celsius in the capital, but on a brighter note, we will have sunny skies across most of the country. With that, let's take a look at the weather around the world. Well, those are the stories we have for you at this hour. For more of the latest, don't forget to check out the website arirang.com/news. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Goodbye.